the amount of time it would take for me to do an intake from beginning to end is I probably use about 10% of that. I probably reduce the time that I'm on it by about 90%. And I'm at 10% of the time that I used. And as a solo practitioner, time is money, time is important. And I'm glad I got that done. My message for the boomer generation is if I can do it, you can do it.
I'm here with Dan Solinsky out of you're New York or New Jersey?
New York,
Okay, out of New York, a Knicks
New
fan.
York. That's right. That's right.
And we're just gonna talk a little bit about some of the cool stuff you've been able to do with Claude mostly, with Cleo as well. And just you've been able to do a lot of cool stuff recently. It's been really cool for me to
Absolutely.
see, so I think walking through it is gonna be a lot of fun.
Terrific, terrific. So my name is Dan Solinsky, Daniel Justice Solinsky. That is my middle name. I work out of New York, like Masai was saying. We have a solo firm with just over 100 active cases, and we do plaintiff side personal injury. I've been an attorney for about 24 years. I work with our paralegal, Christy, and we work out of Westbury, New York, but we're located everywhere else. Initially, I'd really come up in a very old school way. Everything was, Westlaw. If you needed to copy and paste templates, you make sure that you get the right templates. But for the most part, we built these things through scratch, and as you can imagine, it's very time consuming. So what I did was I got practice software, which was Clio. And the first thing I did, and I've been telling Messiah this for a long time, was I went onto YouTube and I went to search who can help me set up AI because I've heard so much about AI and so many of the things it can do that I really didn't believe it. In the sense that I didn't believe that I could set that up and actually make that part of my practice. I'm not very computer savvy. I don't know. I know enough to set things up from scratch and type everything in, but I don't know anything about automation. So I went onto YouTube and I literally typed Clio and Claude because I understand that Claude is a very important search engine, and I got one result. And that result was a Masai Brown Andrews. And since that day, we've been working together. And I have to say, I mean, I'm a solo, but I've been in small firms, mid-sized firms, and large firms. And if you are an attorney who is at all interested in getting into AI, Masai is absolutely the way to go. He has changed my practice and by extension my life, just because of the things that he was able to help me set up. And I'm talking to anybody who will listen about this, and I I think this will be a pretty interesting demonstration of what we can do with this.
Oh, thanks. That means a lot, man. I think it's just really cool to see people who think that AI is like this um high and mighty thing that is really hard to get a hand on or really hard to use. Once you get your hands sort of into it and see how simple it is to get it to be useful for you, I think it's just really cool to see that
Right.
switch upon.
My message for the boomer generation is if I can do it, you can do
There we go. There we go.
it.
That's what we're trying to get across.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and share your screen?
All right, so we're sharing the screen right now. You can see that I'm in Claude.
Okay. And then I want to
Um,
say one quick thing before we jump into this.
sure,
You touched on something that I think is important for everybody to understand, is you talked about giving Claude examples and templates of how you do things, of how you typically do things, whether it's documents or previous cases or whatever it may be. Can you just say a little bit about how useful that's been for you to just sort of start feeding Claude the past examples of the way you've done things?
absolutely. It's definitely more. It's going to be helpful in here because I have my standard retainer, right, and this will help me generate that retainer. And the retainers, other than changing the names and sometimes the referring attorneys, it's pretty standard and pretty boilerplate, pretty straightforward. So it's easy to sort of just, insert the name here, the address here, the date of the accident there. What gets more interesting and ultimately more useful is the second stage, which is litigation, when I actually want to put this into the body of a summons and complaint. And that's not so cookie cutter. You have to make sure that everything is done properly and everything is spaced out. And I'll talk a lot about that. But when I initially put in, I'll give you a quick story and something I had to fix from Clio. I loaded up my letterhead and it was great. And I created and I loaded up different examples of a retainer agreement. And it took that and it made a letterhead and it made the retainer agreement, which I thought looked terrific. The problem is it did a letterhead on each page. So then I had to kind of go back into it and say, all right, I don't want the letterhead to appear on each page, just the first page.
Yeah.
When I did that, it left like a gap between, where the letterhead used to be and where the footer used to be. So then you had to like teach it again. But ultimately, the more you do that, the more it learns from you, and the more it will take your style and not only use it across the one platform that you want it to be on intake, but it will also do that in the future for different letters. It will update its skills. It's an incredible system, and I'm sure I'm just scratching the surface of this thing.
Yeah. It is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're in Claude Cowork now.
Okay, so we're in Claude Cowork, and what we did was when I told Masai that, okay, I want to make the motor vehicle case, and I want to create a skill where Clio will take that information from the motor vehicle case and build a new case in Clio, create the documents that I need to have sent to the clients, and work from there. And that's really kind of what I want to show is how this skill is used.
Would you
Uh,
would you mind opening the skill up in the customize section just so people can understand what a
sure,
if they've never seen a skill before,
sure.
so they can
So these are different skills that I have. Some are for discovery, some are for disclosure, some are for litigation. These are certain things that I can have Clio make image generation, which Masai taught me about, which I can actually get from my ChatGPT account. Medical chronologies, where it looks through and digests, mountains and mountains of medical records. General intakes. These are what the skills look like. And then the skill that I'm going to use is the MVA intake. Each skill is written by Claude as if you're coding, but I don't know anything about coding. All I have to do is speak into Cowork, and it will create the code for me, and it will create this template and different things to do with it. I'm not going to go through the entire list here, but it's a long written code, and every time I have to update it, Claude will go and update it itself.
yeah, it's sort of like a standard operating procedure, right? That Claude is reading every time you tell it to do something, so you don't have to prompt it
Absolutely. So
over.
before you do anything, Claude will read this. It's MD, which I recently learned means markdown file.
Yeah.
And what it will do is before you, as long as you type the skill in, and the way you type a skill into Claude is the backslash, in this case MVA intake. The first thing it will do is read the markdown file and see what it needs to do, and then it will work its magic.
All right, perfect. So that's what skills are, and you've got the MVA intake skill, and then
That's right.
where do we go from here?
So here, now there are two ways to do that, and Christy touched on this. One way is simply to import your last conversation from Dialpad into the intake skill. And as long as you've asked the right questions, you won't even need to do this portion. But I kind of like to do this portion because I make sure I have everything I need in one place, and I say it once. And I think this is the most, without having to get a new dial pad system and without having to get any more, you can simply use this with Claude once you have that API link between Claude and Clio. And we'll go through right now. I'll do it like a fake intake now, and we'll see how this works. Okay, so I am now using this microphone that I got from Amazon. You don't need this microphone; you can use any, but I just use this one because it got pretty high ratings. Uh, Claude, I want you to create a new intake in Clio. The client's name is Bruce Wayne. His date of birth is 9/8/1936. Social security number is 125301515. If that's really your social security number out there, I'm sorry. Um, the accident, he lives at 1929 Arkham Road, Gotham City, New York, 10152. This accident happened on June 17th, 2026 at 10 o'clock a.m. It happened on the intersection of Arkham Road and Riddler Avenue in Gotham City, New York. And even if you go out of order, because I didn't give the phone number, Bruce Wayne's telephone number is 212-555-1212. Um, this is a motor vehicle case. The insurance company is Geico. Claim number is 001155. His SUM is by Allstate, and the claim number is 21725. And a brief description of the case is that Mr. Wayne was stopped at the light at Arkham Road, and he was hit in the rear by a man driving another car. That man's name was Jack Napier. You might know him as the Joker. He was driving a 1977 Chevelle, license plate 281956, and Bruce Wayne was, of course, driving the Batmobile, license plate 85215. Okay. From the accident, Mr. Wayne was taken by ambulance to Gotham City General, where he was given x-rays and had a fracture. After that, about a week later, he went to a physical therapist, Gotham Physical Therapy, and he also went to see an orthopedist named uh, Eric. His injuries are his ribs, his knee, his left shoulder, and his lower back. All right. Um, his email address is batman@batman.com. Um, and I think that's about all the information I'd need to give uh, Cleo or Claude. And I'm going to stop there. And now the great thing is it's going to generate all of this.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
really cool. And now I'm just going to tell Claude, I'm going to just press OK. So now it's going to take everything, and if I miss something, it's going to ask me things that I missed.
We have a question that's popped up here.
So the first thing is that a lot of my cases come from referrals from other attorneys. This one didn't. But let's say, yeah, this is not a referral. This is a direct case. Do we have the Jack Napier's liability insurance carrier yet? I don't think we did. So we're going to say that, what did we? Yeah, we're going to say it's Geico. Geico claim 00115. So you can type that on the bottom. So, or yes, I'll provide, but I'll just type it in. Geico claim number 001155. And then it'll take a look at that and see if it needs anything else.
One, and then I think it's also cool that over there in the top right, you can see the task that it created
Yeah.
and the
And check
progress
its
that it made.
progress. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it's just collecting and confirming intake stuff. It's going to create the matter in Clio, which was actually one when I saw Masai's the video that I actually saw him on, he had actually created this case called Bugs Bunny. And when I saw him do it, I was like, wait a second, you don't need uh Clio has three arms to it, or actually four, but three that I know of. Clio Manage, which is its main system, Clio Grow, which is basically an intake system, and Clio Draft, which will help you draft certain documents. Uh, the Clio Grow, I thought was the only way to create new cases in Clio. I didn't realize it could be done like this. So that really opened my eyes, at least for the beginning. Um, Bruce Wayne already exists because I actually put that in there, likely from a prior test run. Yes, it was. Let me check for an existing matter and inspect the contact. Yeah, so they'd already caught that way back in the days I had actually created a Bruce Wayne case.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something a lot of people don't know about Clio is Clio Manage has a really good API. So
Yeah,
any sort of automation or wanting Claude to do things in Clio, I mean, it can do almost anything in Clio.
yeah. So one of the things that Masai helped us do was when the Clio dashboard screen comes on, I wasn't crazy about the order of the way things showed up because I wanted to, like, my idea was to be able to, once I pull up the case, have all the information I needed right away, the defendant insurance claim number, the defendant insurance adjuster information, the defense attorney if it's already in suit. And because I had this API, Masai was able to show me how to adjust and edit where things belong and when, and where to put them. See?
It's pretty handy.
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
looks
for
like
sure.
it just finished step one over there in the
Right.
top right.
So collected the information. Now it's creating the matter in Clio. And
And
then the
then,
retainer is the standard retainer that I use.
right.
Um, if obviously things are a little different, depending on the case. Um, but that will be more, I guess, for the summons complaint or litigation portion.
And then you were able to do something really cool with the dashboard you created. Earlier you talked about sort of color coding your practice and
Yes,
being able to see. You want to talk about what you were able to do there?
sure. Well, you're very generous with it, what I was able to do. You taught me how to do this, but I think this is terrific. It basically took all of the information I had in Clio and created this dashboard. And here's the dashboard now. And there's more to it than this, but as you can see, it keeps a current count of all the cases that I have in pre-litigation and the types of cases they are, all the cases that are in litigation and the types of cases they are, and the discovery process, which are trial ready. If we had some that are just ready for the note of issue, which are they, and a resolution. And it's all color coded, and it's all based on each one of the pillars of my firm. In terms of what these show, it shows each one of the cases, and it also has a little link for me to connect directly to Clio, so that if I have a question about it, I literally just press the link, and it'll send me right to Clio and show me exactly how to do that. Um, it also, further down, I unfortunately can't show it because it has client information on it. It will show me medical records that are outstanding. And this is something that we're currently working on, exactly how to put together a medical record request and log. And it also has open tasks at the very bottom, which are tasks that still need to be complete, tasks that still need to be finished. And it resets every day. So every morning, I can basically see where I am and what needs attention, and just have an overview of exactly what needs to be done on which cases. If we need to move these cases out of litigation, it'll keep statute of limitations to make sure that we're very far away from any statute of limitation deadlines. It'll show the amount of active matters that I have, and what it can generate. This was actually an old one. I actually have to redo it because it's generated 6:30. It's now 7:06. But I'll be able to just simply refresh that and move that along. It looks like we're making some real progress here on Clio. Let me see if the matter has been created completely yet. Ah, and it has.
How's it looking? Is it in there?
So this is what it's created without me touching Clio once,
So this-
right? It's got, obviously there are some blank spots because we don't know yet who the adjuster is. Uh, And there's another thing. I did say the time of the accident. I said 10 a.m. It didn't pick it up. So every now and then you have to make sure that it will get it, and you could just simply insert that yourself. 10 o'clock a.m. It'll talk about the injuries, and this is another thing that Masai helped me out with. This is exactly how to get what I want, and what I think the most important information is right out in front of me when I click Clio. So if I get on the phone with an adjuster, I have the injuries, I had the medical providers, I have the date of the accident, I have my client's information here, and if you were to look at his contact information, it would give me, see, it didn't have the date of birth. Every now and then, you have to kind of go and make sure that it gets the right things. It'll show exactly, what's going on with the case, what I need to do, and you should always look and double check to make sure that it picked up everything. Not everything's picked up, and that's okay. I kind of like the fact that it'll take someone, a human, to double check the work to make sure it's all done. I've heard a lot of people saying to treat Claude not as one of your partners, but sort of as a young associate that's still learning, that you can teach, that you can check their work to make sure everything is done and it's in the right place. So now it's created, it's showing me like a sample of something it's created. Yeah, sometimes it'll push it to Clio automatically, and sometimes it won't. But what I ask it to do when it doesn't is push documents to Clio. Basically, it'll have like everything drafted for me, and this is what it's come up with. This is the retainer agreement. These are this is a standard personal injury retainer agreement. This is the no fault agreement, right? I'm sorry, the no fault agreement, the no fault NF2 in New York State, which is standard. And not everything is filled in, but more is filled in than we had when we first had it. And at least it provides you with a basis to change things. If I need to, insert to edit this, I can always insert text to put in the policy number here or the date of accident, like it didn't, it hadn't put in there. It misses a couple of things, but it's not the end of the world, and it invites a little bit of human interaction. I'm sure that if I was a little bit more skilled, it could it could do this like flawlessly or almost flawlessly. But I do like the fact that I'm able to look at it and make sure that I have the ultimate say of how this goes out. This is an Allstate claim. This is the Allstate email address. And this is when I call up to make the claim for the adverse policy. I'm sorry, for the uninsured policy and the no fault. It will have HIP authorization, which is already filled in, right? Some people like to put the social security number here. Some people have to, some people don't. We have it that it's not on there. And this is where you would have the client sign. And this is the letter to the adverse insurance company. It has this blank. Again, it's something I could fill in later. It's something I can tweak when I do when I fix the skill, but it'll have where to send it. It'll be my letter of representation, and I can choose whether or not to keep this as my signature or actually print it out, sign it, and scan it.
Do you did you have well, can you talk a little bit about editing or updating skills? Like did you have some skills that maybe you created the first version and you wanted to update them or they didn't quite come out how you
All of these skills. This
Yeah,
is many, here and there may be a couple of errors and a couple of blank fields,
yeah.
but this is the end result, or not the end result. This is a result of something that I've had to just basically change the skill on a little bit. So what I would do is, let's see, if I needed to change something in the skill, like for this letter, for instance, this is the adverse letter, right? Um, you don't have to, but I think you can put, well, you don't even have to put in the skill builder because it's already in the skill. Basically, you can say, can you change the skill to make sure can you change the skill for the adverse insurance letter to make sure the signature block is aligned to the right? And I know exactly where I like it aligned. I like it at the 3-inch line, at the 3-inch margin. And it will update the skill. So here's the Clio. And here they are. They're all uploaded into Clio. These are files only, but I have them. This is if you want to list every single file you have. I usually have them put into my initial documents, retainers, authorizations. I have some of them there, some of them under no fault, and some of them under letters and correspondence, um, which will be the letters to each of the carriers. So it's all there and ready for you. This is just an amazing tool.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then another thing that we've done is now we can put the case directly into litigation. So let's say that I have everything that I need, and obviously there are things missing here. Um, let's say that I wanted to now start a summons and complaint for that case. We've already built this skill, and the skill is what I call litigation. So it's MBA litigation. And I want to start a lawsuit. All I have to do, based on what I put in the skill, is just for good measure, put in the case number. It's 121 Wayne, and that's it. And this will now go into and scrape all of the data from the Wayne file that we just created and create a summons complaint. Now, it's obviously missing a great deal of information. Um, this is one of the things I asked it to do because sometimes it's a municipal case which require another format. This is a non-municipal case. Now it's pulling the data from Clio. Um, Bruce Wayne's address is fictional. What New York County should I use? We'll say Queens. Although I think the original idea for Batman came out of the Bronx, which is where I worked as an assistant district attorney many moons ago. Go ahead.
What do you think this means for law firms in general with like technology like this? How do you think they can take advantage of it, or what advice would you have for law firms when using this sort of stuff?
I would say it's beyond something that you can take advantage of. I think it has become a requisite
Yeah.
because if I can do this quickly, and I've worked again at other law firms that have used AI and other law firms that haven't, it's coming for you. And this stuff is changing by the day. If you just, I was saying before that I went on YouTube to find Masai, and I did. But now, whenever I do the search, there's something different. There's some advancement. There's Claude Fable. There's Notebook LM and all these other tools and things you can learn about. And each one of these has its different strengths, right? And then you find that each of the litigation softwares have different AI built into them. When whether or not those are useful or not, I haven't really seen them. I don't know. This is right now all I know, but this is so far and above what I've used before that I think it's mandatory to have something like this or somebody who can do this in your practice. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind, and it's going to take forever to handle things that should take a couple of minutes for.
Yeah.
Again, if someone's a complaint for me to draft, it doesn't take me that long. Maybe if it's a municipal case and there's some weird facts in it, maybe 3 or 4 hours. But that's 3 or 4 hours, right? That's something I don't really have the time to do.
Yeah.
And if I or I can reclaim that time, I can get that time back and work on something else. I can handle I can handle a lot of cases, but I can handle a lot more if parts of the mundane work are automated. And again, this is something that once it creates the summons of complaint, here it is, it will populate it right into Clio. And this is again the product of a lot of work. I mean, when I first got it, um, the caption was very different, right? The caption was like, I still am not crazy about the fact that plaintiff is way over here, but
Yeah.
that's just me. I'm one of these, people with enough OCD where I need to have it done right. So I'm constantly working on it, in a different way. This is the general complaint, right? We got the right date of accident, and we've got it because I fed it enough of samples of my own work that it writes the complaint in my voice, you know, and I'm just blown away by it. And it has the verification in this case because I'm a Nassau-based attorney, and this case is venued in Queens, and Bruce Wayne is not a Nassau resident. I'm allowed to verify it for him, so that's in there. But if he was a resident of Nassau, there would be a different verification here. This is everything that you need, and this is something that could, take somebody hours, and now it's taken minutes.
Yeah.
And for these summons and complaints, there hasn't been a lot that I've had to change, right? And also what it does is create tasks. So we've trained it now to, once you've generated this document, okay, now Christy will file this onto the NYSEF program, which is New York State's filing system, and purchase an index number. Once that index number is purchased and we put on the complaint, it can be sent out for service. And we go to Lexitas for service in this case. And once that's done, we'll get We'll get an affidavit of service. We'll make sure that it's uploaded, and then we're good. And obviously, there are certain things that they want you to fill in, because the I may work on this, so the date may not be accurate. So I wanted to leave the date blank. I didn't give the Joker's address, so that's left blank. But everything that needs to be filled in has a blank space for you to put it in there too.
Very cool. And then how many examples do you think is a good number of examples to give to Claude?
I've been giving it, unless it's something that like wildly varies, like premises. So the three types of cases I use are motor vehicle cases, which are pretty standard in terms of the way you would put forth a complaint. But if you're talking about a municipal case, there are other requirements to put in there. So I'd put three regular complaints, three municipal complaints. Premises is something that I've had to work a lot on because premises is such a wide umbrella that there are so many different types of premises liabilities you can have. It could be a sidewalk where there's a municipality involved, a sidewalk where there's only a private defendant involved. There are, things that fall on you, things that you slip on, things that happen inside the house, things that happen outside of the house. So for that one, I've had to probably do about three examples of each permutation. Claude's smart enough to figure a lot of these things out. For construction cases, there are different regulatory standards and different types of. There's the 241s, which are gravity related falls. So you put three or four of them in there. There are 241.6s, which are industrial code violations. Put three or four of those in there, and they can really expand. I think the best answer for that is put three of each case, but if you find yourself using one case more and there are so many different permutations of that particular case, keep feeding it, keep feeding it. And the more you give it, the better of a library it'll have to choose from.
All right, perfect. Well, then thanks for walking us through this whole process.
That's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Any last notes you think on Claude or Clio or AI in general that what would you say to yourself at the beginning of the process? What advice would you give to yourself at the beginning of the process starting out?
Get Claude earlier. Get Claude early and find Masai earlier because Masai is really it's somebody like me who's not very computer savvy needs that guidance at the very least in the beginning and probably on more as this is an ever-changing field. Another thing that I would say is one of the biggest fears that I've seen, at least from somebody like me, a solo practitioner, is, you know, there've been a lot of reels going around with Judge LaSalle from the appellate division, who I tried a case in front of, yelling at one of the attorneys for using AI that hallucinated cases, and that's the one of the biggest fears is this hallucination thing. The only cure for the hallucinated cases is that if you're asking Claude to help you write a motion, review the cases yourself. It's that easy. I mean, you'd have to do it anyway. It's not as time consuming as it sounds. But another thing you can do, especially with something like Claude Cowork, is not allow Claude to just go onto the internet and find cases. You can open up Lexis or Westlaw in your browser and have Claude act as you going through Lexis or Westlaw, and that way they'll make sure you get a concrete citation. You'll make it pull exactly from that. And as I asked it to do if it was responding to emotion or something like that, I once went through Claude, a result that it gave me, and it quoted a case, but it used the wrong quotes. In other words, it put a general idea within quotes, and I'm a stickler for that. I actually looked to see if what the case said was what was actually quoted, and although the idea was what was in quotes, it wasn't exactly. In law, if you write something in quotes, that is exactly what it says, and that's the way it must be. So you really have to check your work when it comes like that. So they haven't. AI hasn't replaced the attorney, hasn't replaced the paralegal. There's still a lot of work that we need to do on the back end to make sure that this is done right. But the amount of time that it's able to save can help you increase your capacity, can help you increase your caseload, and can help you deliver justice quickly to your clients. To do If you have a devastatingly injured client, I have a few of them, unfortunately, who have hundreds and thousands of pages of medical records. Claude can parse through them, and it takes a little bit longer, but not nearly as long as it would take you. And if you want to double check, you have the ability to do that. Double check, double check, double check.
And thanks so much for doing this, man. Thanks for walking through everything.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Should you need anything else, you can always find me at solinskylegal.com. My email, if you ever have any questions, it's dan@solinskylegal.com. And I highly cannot emphasize how highly I would recommend Masai to help you, whether you're at a small firm, a mid-sized firm, or a large firm. Masai is able to hook those things up and to make sure that you can walk through this next stage of AI seamlessly, without fear, and really just be blown away by the things it can do.